Hello, hello. Coming at you live in front of a studio audience. It's the Side Quest Live.
Man, crowd
Your
is really bumping tonight.
slow down, guys. Hey, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Please.
Please.
It's just we just do it for you guys. You don't. There's no applause
Yeah.
needed, or showing up at all. It's your favorite video game podcast, one of the longest running video game podcasts in history. The Side Quest. I am one of your hosts, Dolly Dimovsky. Thank you. Joining me, this dude over here, Taylor Bliss.
Please, the money. Stop throwing it on the stage.
Yeah, the money and bros and bras and jock straps. I don't know why that's. Whoa, duck.
No, you can keep throwing the bros on the stage. Thank you.
I'm gonna need. Still
need a few more of those,
actually. Yeah, it is February 15th, 2023. A nice, relaxing week after the chaos that was last week with all the video game news that was coming in. And the weeks before that, yeah, a little bit of an in-between week, which I'm totes happy with. How are you, Taylor?
Tired as always. How are you, Dally?
Same. Tired, my dude. Tired. Yeah, it is. We hit like the high 50s today here in beautiful Michigan.
Yep, as did we over here on the East Coast.
And it's super windy.
Actually, we were nearly 70.
Oh, nice! Wow, holy moly! Summer hit you guys early. That's nice.
Yeah,
excellent. And we just scheduled our pool opening for May. Got that in so that we can actually start using it this year.
So it's opening. It's opening April 1st this year now.
April 1st, everybody, come on over. Come on. Instead of E3, we're gonna do Dolly E3 at my E3. Come on over. That was a joke last year. If they were actually gonna have an E3, that I was, instead of going, just have everybody come to my house and hang out. But this year we actually do have the pool this year, so that took a while. But yeah, it is February, and it is a good time, and we're lucky to have you all with us. And of course, JJ says he's not here. JJ's the one that always wants these on Wednesdays. I would rather do them on Tuesdays because there's nothing else going on Tuesdays. But JJ specifically says he can't do Tuesdays; he has to do Wednesdays, and he's not here this week.
Yet again, listening to JJ has backfired on the entirety of the SideQuest group and brand.
Maybe it's because he is very mainstream media, and we are totally not.
He's so mainstream media.
He's so mainstream media. But yeah, it's again. I'm thankful it's kind of a lighter week. Yesterday was Valentine's Day. I don't know if you guys do anything crazy for Valentine's Day, but we
not unless we can help it.
Yep, we don't. We had some cake that we bought actually on Friday, and it's been sitting in our fridge. Yes, so yesterday we cracked open. Thank you, Kroger. Cracked open a little Valentine's Day themed cake that we bought for like $6, and that was it. That's all we did.
We're eagerly awaiting the sale.
Yeah,
cheap candy.
There. Oh, dude, totally. Yeah, everything's 50% off. See, the best part is for the people that have young kids in our audience here and friends and family. I used to say stock up on all the Valentine cards, man. Do it now, day after Valentine's Day. This is great. And then I realized that the stuff that kids are into this year, they're not into.
It's going to change. It's not going to be the same.
However, if there's Bluey Valentine cards out there, get yourself
Bluey is forever.
Bluey is forever. Bluey is the new Peppa Pig, which I'm totally fine with. My
superior to Peppa Pig in every way.
It's in every single way. Anywho, let's talk about some news stuff. There wasn't, again, nice and light. There wasn't a whole lot of news. There's not a ton to cover. I did want to hop into a couple little news bites. This one actually came across today, and something that we were tracking and kind of talking about with a similar game that Nickelodeon All Stars, but it seems to be happening with Multiverses. The daily peak has dropped more than 99% since the game launched.
And so the thing about this is to keep in mind is that it is Steam.
Correct.
And it's always tough to tell with games like this. Like, imagine a world where Smash Brothers was also released on Steam.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
and what would we expect the population breakdown to be? Like, let's just say hypothetically, it's on Steam, it's on Switch. What do we think the average breakdown of population would be between the two?
I think it's probably 70% on Switch and then 30 on
I
Steam.
would guess more than that. I would
More
guess
than
like
that on Switch,
80 to 90% on
Yeah.
Switch.
Yeah,
Because
likely. Yep.
the thing about and this happens with fighting games. I mean, the platform fighter is obviously kind of like a subdivision of it, right?
Mhm.
And populations tend to coalesce around specific,
Sure.
particularly supported platforms. And PC is not, and still has yet to be known as one of those for fighting games. So it's indicative of a trend,
Sure.
but not necessarily representative of the reality of how the game state, unless the devs or the publisher comes out and tells us how much the total pop is across the board on how many people are logging in. You can pretty much guess that if WB or whoever the direct publisher, it's WB Games, right?
It's WB Games, I believe. Yeah. Yeah.
So if WB Games or the dev doesn't come out within the next 7 days to say, all right, guys, let's not freak out, we've got X amount of people playing on a daily basis, you can assume it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to come out and be like, yeah, there's not that many people playing. They'll just let this story die on its own, instead of saying a gosh darn thing. So, if
I'm gonna as much as I mean, I definitely agree with you from that standpoint, but I don't think this is the devs' fault necessarily.
I don't think it's anybody's fault.
I don't think it's anybody's fault. I will say I think it's WB's fault because the chaos.
I mean, WB has generated so much negative buzz about it and its relation to its properties and IPs that it holds, that it was impossible for it to not also affect this game, which is predicated on those IPs.
Well, I mean, even if this game, I mean, I played it earlier today, it still holds up really well. It's difficult to find people to play on Steam. I was playing on the Steam Deck, and it can be difficult to find people to play on Steam, which is a bummer because, I think this had it listed at 986 on Monday. And again, I fired it up. I did play a couple matches, and it was fine. But I think when it launched, WB was still kind of gung-ho behind it, marketing it. The first season of the game had like 3 or 4 or 5 characters, had a bunch of characters launch. The second season of the game, 1 character.
Yeah.
And that, I think, and the second season is about to end. In fact, the season was supposed to end already. They extended it to March to try to get people to collect all their season bonuses. But when you're not coming out with characters that maybe players necessarily want, when WB is kind of in upheaval on their own IP and trying to figure out what they want to do, obviously all the stuff that's happening with DC and James Gunn, which is going to be good. Trust me, folks, this is going to be good for it. But I really do feel like, again, Nickelodeon pumped the game out because they don't understand games. They just licensed it and that was it. And my fear is that, and again, it went to a very great developer with Nickelodeon, All-Star Battle Royale, whatever that was called. In this case, again, went to a fantastic developer. I think the idea is solid with this free-to-play season pass enabled concept. But it is, you look at, I think they even mentioned in the article, similar platform fighters. Here we go. The first one had five characters. The second one is just 1. Marvin the Martian. Similar platform fighters, which are where was the one here? The comparison. Brawlhalla. They've been hanging around. They're up to like 21,000 now in January, which is nuts. And that's a game without IP. I'm not saying the developer's worse or better, but uh, yeah, this game should have done better. And it has crossplay. I believe this game actually has crossplay between platforms. Brawlhalla is on a bunch of stuff. Brawlhalla is on Switch, PS5, PS4, Xbox, I think even mobile. And part of me wonders if a game like this needs to actually get onto mobile in some way, just to kind of spark. I don't know, man.
Who knows?
But
I mean,
our kids, it's just so weird, man. A kid, it's not on Switch, which I think is a big failure right now because you have kid properties and the biggest kid platform is Switch, and you're not on there.
I mean, here's the thing: is the other weirdness to
thing,
it is that like Nickelodeon skews so young.
Yeah,
I would argue that WB and DC characters skew older. It does, you know, they're
sure,
older in comparison, especially.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not saying that it's targeting like 18 and over, but you know, neither one of them hits the sweet spot that like Nintendo properties hit, which is like 6 through 32, right? Nintendo hits all of those at the same time, and you know, both of those other games, Nickelodeon All Stars and Multiverses, split it. In my opinion, at least. You know, I'm not an analyst, so this is just my opinion. But you know, it's just the other problem is that we're talking about seasons on a game that hasn't left a beta. It's early. It's still in early access. It's a real shit model, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That we're talking about seasons that get released, and we're talking about how many characters are going to come out on a game that's not fucking out yet. It's wonky. And you know, I'm sure that there are, you know, big wigs at WB and stuff like that are like, other people are doing it. Why, you know, this model is going to work for us, or who knows? Maybe it's happening from the internal up to the big wigs. And it's like, other people are doing it, we should do it too. Who knows? I don't really care where it's coming from. The point is that that's how it got pitched, and that's how it got released. And you know, obviously, you know, Nintendo gets away with fighter passes. It's not, you know, it's not equivalent.
No, correct. And I think what Nintendo does with Smash Brothers is a little different. Here's Playland has a good point here. Brawlhalla had a lot of collaboration because they went the Fortnite route, because they're not tied to a specific IP line.
Yeah.
Nickelodeon completely tied to the Nickelodeon IP. WB completely tied to the WB IP. Nintendo Smash Brothers, people fought to like get their characters onto Smash Brothers, even as a little sticker in the background in the game. Like when Shovel Knight was on there, people lost their minds. When Doom Guy had a helmet,
Nintendo properties had to argue to get their own things.
Yeah, exactly.
From within Nintendo.
Exactly.
IPs.
And Fortnite and Brawlhalla do that same thing. Like Fortnite right now is the new Smash Brothers in terms of you can't wait to find out who's next, right? And I almost wish that they would do a flashy Smash Brothers style announcement trailer event showing who's coming up next or whatever. But because they're not tied to IP, I think that's what makes them so successful, and they're much more open-ended. When you're so tied, when you're so in the clutches of corporate IP of things you can and can't do, like there are Superman and Batman can't kill people, right? Wonder Woman can't kill anyone. And a game like this, which is a fighting game, and you don't necessarily kill people in a fighting game, unless you're Mortal Kombat or whatever. But there are limits that you're protected, right? And you're up against Arya Stark, who is a flat out murderer in Game of Thrones. Like her whole job in Game of Thrones is to legit slice throats. Those IP like are so weird, you know. So, anyways, it's the openness is not quite, at least from a fan standpoint. Like you got to get some excitement. I would, if there's anything, they need to have a character rollout. They need to do these.
So the biggest problem that
can't
I think
be LeBron James
that lingers on it, that held it back, and that will continue to hold it back because I don't see it changing in the future, is, you know, between HBO, between WB and the multiple multimedia options they have to leverage, When have they ever advertised this game?
Exactly.
Have they ever done so?
Yep. Should have been on HBO Max. It should have had.
I mean, like silly little bumpers. Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
Like it between HBO, like I said, all of those multimedia options. I don't, to my knowledge,
why
has never
aren't
been
the
utilized.
Property Brothers on this? Like
but even still, I mean, like, I don't know, throw it on when you can't lease out an ad space, and it makes more sense to try and sell this thing. I mean, like, what it does is give the appearance that it is a throwaway from the people that care about the IP at WB, which in my opinion it probably is to them. They don't care. And when they don't care, it will die. That's just the end of it. This little dev that got outsourced, once the money dries up, they'll have to pitch it again to try and get the dribble out of WB budget office. And if they say no, it'll just be like, okay, well, that's it. The game's over now.
Sure.
And that'll be the end of it. And so there is a lack of place in the overall structure, which is apparent to me.
And this, there are aspects to this where, because WB owns this, and whatever the company is now, WB Discovery, I don't know. They could put this as they could have live series of competitions on HBO Max or on TV or on their stations. They could have, you could have done a behind the scenes special of the development of this game on HBO Max, and maybe it would have been more popular than the game. I don't know, but I love I've seen those things on Netflix, and they boost the ability. Those Netflix series based on Arcane is phenomenal. What it did for, League of Legends was already massive, but Arcane helped bring it to a whole new audience. And you need to, and I know Batman. There's a brand new Batman movie, and there's Space Jam, and there's Game of Thrones on HBO. I get it, but you need to build stuff out of this as well. And it's just a real tough situation. And you're right. I mean, who is this market for? Is it for the teens and up? Is it for kids down? Like, you could.
Here's the thing: is that, like, do they have an idea? I don't think there is a scope. It was just like, this sounds like a cool thing to do. Yeah. I mean, like, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that.
The game's great, but again, the game is great.
But it's just, the problem is
monetization.
It without there is specific vision of the games, especially multimedia property games, that are really successful.
Sure,
there are people, producers, and swaths of other people that have a specific vision of what they want it to be and what they expect it to be, and that's the reason why they succeed. And it needs the multiverses needs it.
Multiverse needs it, and multiverses. And, I look at I'm going to take it to the Marvel equivalent right now, which is Marvel Snap. And how the reason, and I don't know if Marvel Snap is making money or not. I have no idea. I don't know if they've even talked about how much money they're making. But even playing through multiverses, the season stuff isn't, and again, it's still in beta. Don't know if it'll ever get out of beta. But Marvel Snap, they advertise their properties within Marvel. Like Quantumania, when Black Panther Wakanda Forever was coming out, they advertised it within Marvel Snap very easily with some cool, gameplay tweaks and character card variations. You could do that within Multiverses. Like, I would have loved to see, with the Flash movie coming out, they should be hyping that up within this. With Black Adam, there should have been costumes. There should have, with some of the WB movies and TV shows, you can do some cool things, and they're just not. There should have been a whole Game of Thrones iteration of this where the all the characters should get cool armor, like Game of Thrones inspired armor for Superman or whatever. That kind of stuff rules. It's just they're not. I don't know. Well, either way, who knows? I'm hopeful it'll recover, but Shaggy looks scared there, and they're not even advertising Velma in this. Like, Shaggy's a part of the Scooby-Doo universe, right? Oh man. There is one good bit of news that I thought that we've been kind of laughing about behind this. Not laughing about, but talking about the big grift with games and gaming companies and how some gaming companies just go up and down in weird ways, and that's Roblox. Roblox is a massive game that
Oh shit, I
kids
didn't see
play.
this one.
Yeah, a nearly $1 billion net loss during 2022.
Is this okay?
Yeah,
This sounds like some Hollywood bookkeeping to me.
expects to continue reporting losses. Yes, it does. Like, it's this game. This game's not going anywhere. They can continue to lose money. I mean, it even said they grew their revenues, but lost, reported losses, which for them is like, let's book these losses. Yeah, look at that. They made more revenue. They made more bookings, up 16% of revenue, 5% bookings. Hey,
Yeah,
we're
this
down.
is some Hollywood bookkeeping,
This is
man.
some Hollywood
So
bookkeeping.
revenue was up 16% year on year, but you net lose $934 million. What did you spend
Right.
an extra $1 billion on?
I agree. I don't know.
That is questionable.
I don't look at it. They lost in 2021. They lost $500 million. In 2022, they lost almost $1 billion. How is that? How is that possible?
So you
It's
net
just, weird.
lose, right? When
Yeah.
you can prove that you either made capital gains improvements, or if you can show that you had operating expenses that significantly exceeded
Right.
your revenue and bookings, right? So Roblox is public.
That's where their
This
money's
makes
coming
me very interested to go back. I need to kind of like go and listen to some of the quarterly earnings and fiscal year end earnings calls, because there has to be some explanation that they provide for this. And actually, and who knows, might be in this article that I have not yet to read. So the deferment was larger than it would have been previous years because it increased its paying consumer life twice. Can you scroll down? I need to read this.
We're live reading the news.
Yeah, I mean,
right
unfortunately,
they don't really talk
unfortunately, this is the first.
Really
I thought this is you're showing it to me this fresh. So
yeah, they don't really talk about why. I mean, they got
yeah,
more.
I mean, well, so this is kind of a nod. 2022 was a year of innovation and invention, which basically means we put a shit ton of operational expenses, OpEx, onto our books, to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's going to be just their explanation. I mean, this is really inventive bookkeeping. I mean, there's many different ways that companies can do this on the financial end. They are trying to tax shelter and all that kind of thing. The real story to me is that revenue was up 16% year over year, and that daily active users is up 23%.
That's nuts. That is nuts.
Incredible numbers
for something that's like
considering 15, how popular it already is.
20 years old, some crazy number. Yeah.
Almost 60 million daily active users.
65 in January. 65 million daily active users in January.
It's ridiculous. I'm surprised that we didn't see like a Super Bowl ad for Roblox at this point.
Exactly.
To be quite honest.
So, they're making a lot of money. Like you said, it's very Hollywood level of bookkeeping there. Amazon, one of the biggest companies in the world, did not turn a profit until very recently. Like they lost money every year, purposefully lost money every year. They had enough money to keep operating. No issues whatsoever. Their losses were on the bookkeeping side that they could write off and all that kind of stuff. And Roblox, in this case, they're writing it off. They're going that Amazon route, and it just means that they're just going to keep getting bigger and bigger to lose this kind of money and be like, whatever, we lost $1 billion, no biggie.
Yeah, I mean,
those
what this effectively means, they're shoring up losses on the front half. What they're going to do is they'll probably ride this out for a couple more
yep.
years, while they have a lot of
Yeah.
float cash
Mm-hmm.
to work with. So that way, once they start, from a bookkeeping perspective, start turning profit, they won't pay money. They won't pay tax revenue
Exactly.
on those.
Yeah.
They won't pay taxes on that revenue for several years because, oh well, we got, I forget what the term limits are for how long your previous year's losses move forward. I don't remember because I'm
I
not a
forget what
tax
it is.
lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like 5 years or 8 years or 10 years or something in that, 5 to 10 years. And they'll just not pay federal taxes on their gains because of operational expenses from the prior years. And they'll just ride that out.
Yeah.
They're paying a lot of accounting people a lot of money to make sure that this one works out in their favor.
Oh yeah. It's just it's further proof that they're just so freaking massive.
Oh my god, they're gonna roll out in-game advertisements. Oh sure.
Oh Lord.
We're not gonna make any laws about advertising to children. Good thing.
Oh goodness, loot boxes. But yeah, they're massive. Big losses mean a big company. So
Yeah.
And that was mainly it for the news. I know there were like little tiny things here and there. I know they had the this channel is the cake for sure. Thank you, Derpy Entertainment. We are definitely the cake. We had the Super Bowl commercial for. There were like a few game things on like some of the smaller almost localized stuff. I know Nintendo had the Super Mario Brothers movie, the real creative, using the theme song from the original Super Mario Brothers Super Show, which was fantastic in their little kind of in-universe ad. But yeah, there wasn't anything massive this year Super Bowl. We used to get some ads here and there. I know they had the big Pokemon ad one year. There was I forget. There used to be a lot of game ads back in the day, but not anymore. I did like the commercials. There were some really intuitive ones, but I just gaming wise there weren't any. Oh, I'm not going to play it Playland because we'll get it. we'll get it taken down.
Immediate takedown notice.
Nintendo and Illumination and Universal are gonna ban us. But let's get into what we've been playing. We're gonna have a nice kind of shorter episode today. I'm glad there's no Zach. There's no JJ. They've left us, and they're the ones with the review code, which is good. Which is they're supposed to be here. I think they're just purposefully avoiding us, so they don't have to talk about their reviews. What a coincidence! But what are you playing, Taylor?
So went back. I was feeling the itch to do a little bit of building, a little bit of farming. So I reached out to Zach. It's like, hey, you want to play Dragon Quest Builders? I had never played it. Dragon Quest Builders 2 is on Game Pass. So I was like, oh, this one seems all right. It was like multiplayer doesn't unlock until blah 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 blah. So it's like, no.
Crap.
And then he suggested Valheim. So we hopped on Valheim, and I think we played about 11 hours of Valheim over the course of Friday and Saturday.
Saturday, Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, it was kind of a wash, but
sure.
And in my brain. But yeah, it's good. I had never played it before.
You never played Valheim? I mean, I haven't either.
Nope. No, I mean it didn't. I never bought it. It didn't hit Game Pass until like a few months ago. And so it was immensely popular when it released. Was it last year or the year before?
I think it was the year before. It was like 2021 or 2020, maybe even, for all I know, like end of 2020, somewhere around there, or something crazy. Like
I don't remember exactly when. It seemed like it would make more sense that it was 2021 because I feel like if it released in 2020 before my daughter was born, I probably would have bought it.
You probably okay. There you
go. So, but yeah, I mean, it's I mean, it's just like it's very easy to just play that video game. And we did. And so we're probably going to slow burn it a little bit because I just don't have the time to do it on a regular basis. But we
You guys are
Just
playing
started PC.
PC Game Pass? Okay, cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'm playing on Game Pass. I don't know. I think it's because it's direct server, I
Oh,
think.
okay. Zach might even
Uh
own it for all we know. Yeah.
I think you could theoretically cross on Game Pass, and don't quote me on
Sure.
that though. We just got to the point where we're smelting some metal ore, which sounds like it would be something that would happen really soon.
You know what they say, man? Whoever smelt it, dealt it.
That's true.
We dealt some more.
But yeah, it's a good game. It's
awesome.
Fun. I'm gonna play some more of it, and then I've played about 12 minutes of Returnal on PC.
Oh, that's right. You picked that. You picked it up, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I picked that up, and the first 12 minutes are great. I don't know. I mean, I'm basically going in blind, so
nice.
Yeah, I mean, and as far as the comment regarding GoldenEye, I don't have the expensive version of Nintendo Switch Online, which I think is
that's the only you could play online. Yeah.
And emulators exist, and I also have an N64, and I don't really have a need of playing a version from on Game Pass that has no multiplayer.
So there's I mean, there's emulated versions. I have it's interesting. I ended up picking up. I mentioned it a little bit last week when they had the direct. Like I was dead set against getting. It is on PC Game Pass, I think. Yeah,
but it's there's no multiplayer is exclusive to Switch.
Yeah.
That was part of the agreement. That because of the weird co-sharing of IPs between Nintendo and Microsoft and Rare, Nintendo
and MGM
has the exclusive.
Was thrown in there too.
Yeah, exactly. It got complicated.
A mess. Which is owned by Amazon now, so who knows? It was like
messed up. So I mean, like for me personally, I'm not going to play it on Switch. I love GoldenEye. I played it a lot. I own it. I own the cartridge on N64,
baby.
But
do they have? I thought you could. Wasn't somebody had figured out a way to get N64 on LAN, or was that only GameCube? The Mario
that sounds like some GameCube stuff. N64 had literally no network connectivity built into the
the
chipset.
Yeah, I know it didn't, but I thought you could set up LAN. Maybe not. Maybe it was just the GameCube. Yeah,
I don't think so, but don't quote me on
that. Okay. Yeah, the GoldenEye thing. Like I said, last week I ended up. What else you got? I'll hop in.
No, that's it. That's all my games.
Okay. Yeah, last week like I mentioned in the past, I wasn't going to pay that extra for the Switch Online stuff. It was just like, guys, I don't want to pay an extra.
But then
$60. And then they announced GBA and Game Boy. And then I'm like, do I want to set up my N64 downstairs? And my parents had a CRT. We found a CRT at their house. I'm like, I could just use a CRT at my parents' house. My old CRT.
You know what it's time for? You know what it's time for, Dally?
What? Getting
Mr. Time.
It's Mr. Time. Mr. Time. But I thought, I can. Do I want to go through all the setups? But I'm like, man, the GBA games. Even though there's only like 6 of them right now, and I have, I think, all of them except for Kururen, whatever that game is, on my 3DS. Like all these were on that, but I thought, man, I think it was time. I picked it up and I played a little bit of GoldenEye, and that plays great, man. I'm surprised at how well it plays on the Switch. Didn't play online yet on the Switch because I don't know enough people to play online with that have it. Although I think Sam now has it as well as JJ. I think Sam definitely has the higher tier. But I was a sucker in this one. They got me with the GBA and the GBA stuff. The Game Boy was great too because I actually played a bunch of those classic games like Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins, Wario Land, which is great. Man, that Wario Land game, was it Wario Land 3 or whatever it is? That's surprisingly fantastic on the Game Boy. I highly recommend picking it up. It's just they're the quality games. I played Minish Cap. I was playing that today. Minish Cap is just such a good game.
It's so good. I will say if anything, what it makes me want is to get an analog pocket.
Yeah, dude. Oh, that'd be fantastic on the analog. Oh my gosh,
I
yeah.
want. I gotta
Pop that cartridge in there. Yeah, that's a great idea. I will keep an eye out when we go to PAX. Maybe there's something cool out there. But and I know like the cool thing is that they showed all the Oracle games are coming out, which I'll play them
yeah.
again. They're great. I didn't own the did I own the cartridge? I think I owned Oracle of Ages on cart. Um, but I owned both of them on the 3DS through the Virtual Console, and yeah, I'll play them again. Where there's actually rumors now that there may be some connectivity coming for the online stuff from the like they took out some of the verbiage in the
Yes.
Pokemon Stadium thing. It's
Right.
so no longer the way it's phrased. So now people are thinking maybe Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, whatever will show up on the virtual console or whatever and then switch online, and then you'll be able to transfer them in the Pokemon Stadium, which maybe from that point you'll be able to work them all the way up into the modern, who knows? But I think there's some
Maybe.
well, hold on, it's Nintendo we're talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe not. But anyways, so I played a bunch of classic games and I was just in heaven. It was so good. Man, retro games are great, and I would almost like the Steam Deck is fantastic for that. You already know that, Taylor. Emulation and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Playing handheld mode for those early gens from the 8-bit all the way up to 64-bit PlayStation 1 era, Nintendo 64 era. It's just perfect. It is absolutely like that. Those portable devices are the ways to go.
I will say,
So good.
there has been quite a bunch of praise about um, NSO's handling of some of the emulation types and the frame pacing and what it does to emulate what the old Game Boy screen would actually
Yeah.
look
Oh,
like
it's so good. Flip
for
through three
blended.
different types of screens. Yeah, it's
Right.
great.
Yeah, I mean, the example that I saw on Twitter was on Link's Awakening DX. There's a chain chomp in one of the regions of that game, and the way that they coded the game to make the chain effect in place is that the particular frame rate of the Game Boy would basically cause this little flickering. So they would only
Mm,
render part of the chain at a time, but because the frame rate was in at such a pace, it would flicker between and it would look like a complete circle instead of two half
sure. Yeah.
circles. And that
Right.
would cause it to render the whole chain. And the NSO literally has you can flip it between two to make it look smoother or not. But if you leave it at the original style, you get that kind of
Yeah.
blended
It's
animation
cool.
like it was originally. It's a really
It's cool. Great
compared to
detail.
some of the other stuff that they have
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. That
Um,
64 stuff wasn't great. I think GoldenEye may be the best one out of all of them.
yeah.
But yeah.
Playland, to answer your question, NSO will check. It'll do a online check in to make sure that you are
Every 7
subscribed,
days, I think. Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, I mean, so like theoretically, yes, you could game it for a very short amount of time, if you opened it and then you canceled or
So
you ran out.
So
But
real quick, you're not actually downloading games. What you are is, and Nintendo's stupid for doing this. It's just one big app that you download, and they just keep up. Like the app has all the games on it, so it's not like you're gonna download Super Mario Land 2 separately onto your home screen. It's literally here's the Game Boy app, and the
it's
app
the
just keeps getting
package.
bigger. It just keeps
Yeah.
getting bigger and bigger
Yeah,
and bigger
here's
over
all
time.
of the Game
Yeah.
Boy games from
Yep.
NSO at once,
Yep.
and you launch it, and then it'll launch the individual ROMs from that bigger
Yeah.
package.
Exactly,
Um,
from within that. It's a nice launcher. It's actually set up kind of cool. You can organize
I
it a
think it
few
looks
different ways.
nice.
It looks nice.
Um, but yeah, I mean, if you go from the more expensive down to the less expensive one, you'll lose access to the GBA ones.
Yep.
You'll try and launch it, and it'll just say,
Yep.
if you want to play this, then upgrade your
No longer available.
switch.
Upgrade.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Switch up. So
But all
here's
their save data stays in the cloud and all that kind of
yep.
stuff. But yeah. So anyways, it checks every 7 days. Checks online, which isn't a big deal. Obviously, you could just hook it up to your phone with the Switch. Stuff like the Switch and the Steam Deck work great like that. anything that you can take with you is great. So, yeah, a bunch of those classic games. But then I've been playing a couple review games, but I'm going to talk about one this week. And this game came out, gosh, I think this game's actually like a few years old at this point, maybe like 2 years old. I don't even know. I over a year ago, I got pinged, or I heard about this game. It's actually from a Michigan-based developer, and I believe the developer is named Hard Boiled Games. So when you think of Hard Boiled, what do you think, Taylor? That what kind of product? What do you think the game is themed around when the company's name is Hard Boiled?
Yeah. Okay. Eggs and
The game is called Yoked,
okay.
and it's actually it's just a physics-based egg launching, not even an egg launching game. Really, it's just
An egg cracking game.
an egg crack. No, you are the egg.
Well, you're trying to not get cracked, but
you're trying to not get kicked. Exactly. Story. This is an Oscar-worthy story. Mad scientists creates these eggs that have little arms, and they come to life somehow. And you're the egg that's trying to escape. And the mad scientists obviously throwing crap at you, knives and spatulas and shiznit like that. And it's just a physics-based game. You use the hands.
Is this like a Quappy kind of game?
Yes. Yeah, you control each hand individually. It's way better than those types because it's easier to hold on to and grip stuff, like the two bumpers on again, perfect for Steam Deck. It's actually not verified for Steam Deck yet, but it works great. You use the bumpers to actually grip for the right hand, left hand, then you kind of move the hands around, and you can climb onto stuff. But they have
the arm movements look a little bit smoother than what I'm used to on Quappy games, which is is nice.
And then if you miss, you fall and you break. If you're messing up, you can just hit the button and kill yourself, or I don't want to say you can explode or whatever. You can crack yourself in such a way where it's you can kind of reset, and it's really forgiving. Like there's those little cups that you have your eggs in that you eat. You tap on. There's a cup right there. You get to those. They're like essentially they're not save point, but what do they call them? They're like just points within maybe they are more like save points, I guess. Anyways, they're checkpoints within these levels to let you restart from. And like I said, super forgiving. And all it is just trying to make it from one end to the other of these rooms and go up and down and around stuff and hopefully not land in the sink there. You can get a hit by the mustard.
Catch it.
The first level is the kitchen. So you start there, then it opens up to like the attic, and then there's game rooms and there's yards, and there's part of the game room right there. It's really cool from that standpoint. I mean, again, controls really easily. It's just a fun little physics type of game. It's definitely the kind of game where you can sit on your couch and just mess around with it. And by the way, kids freaking love this because they love to watch this egg just fall down.
Yeah, they think it's really funny that the egg keeps breaking.
The egg is, Humpty Dumpty. This guy killed it. So it's just it's cheap. It's like $12. I think it's still technically early access, but it doesn't matter because hard boiled and hit sense. But it doesn't matter because I think all they're doing, like the physics work flawlessly, flawlessly as you can expect with an egg with arms. The level designs are great. I haven't noticed any issues in the time that I've played. The biomes I think all they're really doing is adding little effects here and there. May still be in early access, but this is a full release game for all intents and purposes. I wanted to show that they had 10 months ago. They had one big addition of the game, endless mode, which just lets you kind of keep going and going and going. But you get Easter costumes because, of course, Easter eggs, which you have to embellish it. An endless kitchen mode, which is sort of like a rogue, not roguelike, but a generated mode.
Is it like an endless runner where you're just trying to keep going?
You just keep going, and there's the plants that there's like 18 fridges in there, but who cares? There's shelves, there's all kinds of decorations. It's just great. It's a fun little game. I don't know. It's it's so self-explanatory, but I'm digging it. I'm digging it. I'm sure it'll get boring like every one of these types of games do, but I don't want to say boring, but you'll get worn out. But kids love it, and that's totally fine. This game knows exactly what it is, and it does a great job of doing what it needs to do. Like, there you go. The knife just falls. Doesn't need to do anything fancy. Although if you hold on to these glasses long enough, they'll crack and they'll fall. So good stuff. It's fun. Check it out. And that's what I've been playing. That, like, other than that, I'm about to pick up Last of Us and play through part 1. Not the part 1 version, the original Last of Us version, which I have like 18 copies of, and I think it was on the PlayStation Pass, whatever, when you got your PS5 as well. And I don't know, I had like 18 versions of that game anyways. And so I'm going to play that so I can try to catch up before the season finale in 5 weeks of the show. So we'll see if that happens. Yeah. Yeah, maybe I'll take. Let's see. That finale will be I think it's the week before PAX. Something like that. Yeah, it's gonna be the Sunday before PAX will be the Last of Us finale. So I'm gonna have to finish Last of Us before then. Speaking of PAX, by the way, definitely check us out at PAX because we have our awesome 789 panel. It's about 7 games that are typically ranked as 7s, but are way better than the 10s. In this case, better than 9s because 7, 8, the 9. Get it? 7, 8, 9. The numbers. JJ came up with that one. Yeah, that's it, man. Check that out. Go on to the sidequesting.com website. SideQuesting TV on Twitch and YouTube. You can find us in the Discord. Definitely hit up the Discord. We have a lot of fun. And I'm trying to work the PAX people to see if I can get some passes to give away. Because it seems like all the influencers are getting like a bunch of PAX passes to give away. But we'll see. Who knows? But
we're an influencer.
We're an influencer. I influence people to pick up Yoked. Taylor, thanks for hanging out tonight, man. Look at this. Before 10 o'clock. Wow, we should do this more often.
I might get some more Returnal in before I go to bed.
Yeah, dude. I might play some games over here too. I like that. Would it be real quick? Would it be difficult?
Totally depends.
Yeah, Saturday. The only day may be Saturday. The other time, Thursday, Friday, Sunday.
You'll definitely be able to get them for Thursday.
Yeah, definitely for Thursday. Probably for Friday. Definitely for Friday. Definitely for Saturday. I mean, definitely for Sunday. Saturday again may be difficult, only because everybody's off on Saturdays, so a lot of people are coming up. So, but PAX is worth it from checking out. They did post the full panel schedule. They posted the exhibitor list, and it's it's a great. There's a lot of cool folks on, and they're still adding a bunch of folks too. I know, like, there were a couple companies that I talked to that aren't on the exhibitor list that said they're just trying to figure out and finalize a couple things before they fully, before PAX can list them and all, before they fully commit and everything. Because GDC is that same week, which is always just a mess.
Oh, again.
And that's why you're seeing some companies not at PAX this year, but you're going to have other companies filling them in. We love the indies. The indies are honestly, it's the best part. And the surprises. You just go there and you get surprised, which is the best. That's really the best thing. Okay, that's it. Sure. The best thing is letting y'all go and me shutting up and getting back to some gaming. My dude, thank you again.
Likewise.
Listeners, viewers, thank you guys very much. And we'll see you all on the next episode of The Side Quest. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, JJ and Zach.